Welcome to the Savvy Safety Sisters Partner in Prevention podcast. I'm Carrie Pasquarello, founder of Global Secure Resources. Now, we know one of the best ways to make a difference in preventing victimization and keeping you and your family safe is to inform the public about strategies, tools, and techniques to increase safety. And we really want to empower our listeners with education and advocacy to do our best to prevent victimization. We want our loved ones to have tools to take control of dangerous situations and make it better and safer. So, our goal today is to share an amazing product that can make a difference in improving your personal safety. So today I am pleased to introduce our partner in prevention, Stephanie Rodriguez, entrepreneur, speaker, and founder of WanderSafe. Now, she started an amazing company, and I would love for her to tell our audience more about the WanderSafe and her company's mission. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you, Carrie. It's so good to be on your podcast and to share our journey. As you said, my name is Stephanie, but I'm on a mission personally and through WanderSafe to impact 1 billion lives by 2025 in keeping with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And our mission ties in with probably about 7 or 8 of the UN SDGs. So we're doing everything we can as a company to empower and enable people to travel and commute better and safer. The origin and the genesis of WanderSafe was because as a businesswoman, I traveled to 58 countries and most of that was alone. And I'd often be in places where I lacked proper information about where I was or where I was going because it wasn't on the internet yet. So I wasn't equipped with the tools that I needed. And I visited Africa and other continents and found that this was a very common problem. It wasn't just mine. There were millions of women and vulnerable people who feared their commute or to travel and be on their own outside their homes. So I consulted with a gentleman named Thomas Pecora, and he is a retired CIA safety and security expert. In fact, he was in Benghazi. He has some great stories and a really good book if you look him up as an author. And Thomas and I were speaking about safety, and I was picking his brain and said, Thomas, tell me, what are they teaching the CIA about safety? And I thought it was going to be big and mysterious, and he broke it down for me and said, no, Steph, it comes down to 3 things: information, environmental awareness, and equipment. And when he hit equipment, because the first 2 I understood, and it's much to your point about, strategies, et cetera, Carrie. But when he said equipment, I was like tasers and guns. And he said, no. He said, the first thing we teach with safety and security is illumination, because bad things happen in the dark. And I said, that's interesting. And he said, if you have means to distract a potential assailant, it's very powerful because you control the next minute, and this buys you seconds to look for an exit or a tool or something else to empower yourself. And then the ability to distract, again, making a sound and making as much noise as you can, calling for help. And then, being able to ask for help in a way that's very powerful. So after that interview with Thomas, I sat down and made notes, and I actually formulated a product that embodied everything Thomas told me. And we call it the Beacon. We've made different versions of the Beacon. Our most recent product launch was the Shakti, which comes boxed like this, comes in black and in rose gold, which is the one I'm holding because I like this one. But the Beacon has 3 features to it. First, it has a very bright light at the ready. So, in trying to open your telephone when you're outside, it's sometimes especially if you're flustered, you can't actually hit the button, your hands are sweaty, etc. So we designed this as a wearable to be attached to something like your keys or your handbag, backpack, belt, whatever, that you can reach it easily and quickly. And I guarantee you, I can turn this light on faster than you can open your phone. Secondly, the distraction feature that Thomas spoke of, we incorporated, and this is a military technique, the strobe light, because when a strobe is presented, your brain disconnects from anything that you're thinking and only is able to acknowledge that there's a strobe light and it's annoying. So having a 7 pulse per second strobe is a second feature of the Beacon for that distraction moment to buy you a few seconds to formulate a strategy and a next step. The third feature, and it kind of is an escalated, put the light on it. Because if you shine a light on someone and they run away, you know they were nefarious, you know? And secondly, if they keep approaching to distract them, the third and very powerful feature of this is just to pull and dislodge the cap, and it emits a very noisy 130 decibel siren, as well as the light and the strobe all in one go. And, you know, if you have a personal safety device at the ready, charged and in your hand when something's about to go down, you are, according to Thomas, 87% less likely that someone's actually going to, assault you. But we've added a fourth feature because of technology's advancement, which is a very silent but powerful SOS button. And it's just there, that if you press it 3 times and you have the app in your phone, it opens up the app and starts signaling the preset emergency contacts that you're in danger and where you are. And if your safety community have the app, they're able to see where you're moving to, updating every 60 seconds until you turn it off. And that's, all of these powerful features in a 40-gram little device that could potentially save your life.
Just amazing, Stephanie. And we're always focused on a proactive path to safety, which includes situational awareness and our strategies. And you are leveraging data and technology in such an amazing way with that Bluetooth connectivity and the app and the beacon. So we know that prevention is always the best solution when it comes to staying safe. And so I'm so happy once again to be collaborating on this mission of safety and solutions with you. This is just so great. And, at Global Secure Resources, I'm always looking at criminals and how they ultimately choose their victims. And they're always looking for vulnerable people. And this technology is extremely useful to foil criminals. Your odds are so much better because you're strategizing your safety. And this is what awareness is all about. We need to keep in mind that bad guys don't like light, they don't like sound, and they don't want you in charge of the situation. Right, Stephanie? So
Absolutely. When Thomas and I were talking about equipment, and I said tasers and things, he's like, Steph, most women, and we did our research and found out that most women and females are an audience for us because we are vulnerable and we feel vulnerable. In Australia, where I live, more than 57% of the women surveyed in my city of Sydney said they don't feel safe walking to and from the metro and the train stations after dark. And Australia is a fairly safe country. But Thomas said that the reason why women don't like capsicum or pepper spray or tasers and things is because if our assailant's bigger than I am, he's most likely going to be able to wrestle that out of my hand and use it on me. So I could become the victim of my own sword, So having something that's non-violent, that's usable and, by a senior citizen, by a young person, by a remote worker who has to go into offices or homes now, especially with COVID, that there are a bunch of use cases for it. And we're finding that, people are receptive to the beacons because the fact that it's nonviolent and it can't be, if you listen to that siren for too long, I don't recommend it. It's bad for your ears, but it really can't hurt anyone.
absolutely. And talking about statistics, 84% of women have been harassed while running, right? And
Mhm.
the sad truth is some runners don't make it home. And this is
Yep.
a perfect solution for runners. If you want to be free, you want to go take a jog, you want to go running on your own, we're just saying it's so great to strategize your safety and have a beacon while you're jogging. You can have your phone tucked away, and it's that SOS button that is extremely useful in so many
Yes.
different situations, right? So, Stephanie, can you share some more examples about stories about how Wander Safe is being used in communities?
Absolutely. Well, it's kind of funny. We have B2B applications of the beacon by companies that most people would have heard of. So Deloitte Digital in San Francisco equipped the females in their office with beacons, which was quite remarkable. Revlon purchased 200 beacons for their hairdressing trainers that have to go into places like strip malls where there are hair salons and do training after hours. So companies taking a proactive stance for their employees is one factor. A very unique use case here in Australia is a woman who purchased them for her mother and herself because she lives on a property, and it was to manage wild animals. And that was their worry, was coming up and approaching a wild animal that they needed to not have a confrontation with, and using it in the instance of being out in nature where there are things that could be a potential threat. We've also found it a story of a young lady. And it's interesting, Carrie, because the stories that we hear are not, it's the numbers that decline that are the most powerful, because the accidents don't happen. So when we hear that someone used it walking in London from a pub, and I wrote an article about this on our Wander Safe blog, she was coming back from a night out, and there was a man following her, and she just put the siren on, lights, camera, action, the whole thing, and the man ran away. And that, just that moment she wrote and told us about, that just, gave me joy. I met a woman at a conference in Canberra who was in a wheelchair. And after I spoke about the beacon, she said, "This beacon has saved many of my friends' lives. I just want you to know." She said, "I'm a huge fan, but we don't hear of every time that someone didn't get assaulted, because what the media reports are the bad things. But every time something doesn't happen, we do get letters and reviews that people just say, it's the best thing ever. I don't leave home without it." So, that makes me so happy when we're helping empower and equip women and vulnerable people with our idea and our smartphone application. The app is really incredible. The beacon is the physical prevention, but the app is the know before you go stuff. And that's really where we've invested a lot of time, effort, and energy over the last 4 years in developing the smartphone app that can be inputted by you in your area if you saw something and wanted to warn others, but also leveraging health information and crime, so that you can look before you rent that Airbnb at the neighborhood and see where others have flagged hotspots for maybe bad lighting, maybe vandalism, maybe the presence of solicitation and prostitutes, loiterers, whatever it is, gang violence, which is going to help me if I want to rent an Airbnb in New Orleans and I want to know, in that neighborhood, is it safe? And these are the things that there really isn't that kind of information anywhere else on the internet. And we put it in our free app.
Right. And that's really what we do at Global Secure Resources when we do our individual threat assessment plans, our student safety assessments for travel. We're covering all those really important things that we need to know about crime, about terrorism, about civil disorder, about all these different things. And right here, we have it in an app. It's amazing. And so as I talk about the 3 Ps of being prepared, this really means having the best tools. And Wander Safe is my favorite tool by far.
Oh, thanks. Thanks,
And
Carrie.
and really being intentional with safety by being prepared is critical. And Stephanie, I wanted to hear a little bit more about Crime Stoppers. I think you've partnered with them. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that.
Well, we formed a partnership with Crime Stoppers International, working at a global level. And that partnership with us allows us to work with their police departments and, work on the common goal of keeping people safe, seeing something and saying something. So we have in beta some integration to be able to report a potential crime through our app that would link into Crime Stoppers. So as well as flagging an area that's unsafe, if you wanted to make a report, that next step is in beta now to be able to interconnect. There are so many different Crime Stoppers chapters and organizations, mostly formulated by ex-law enforcement who run those as nonprofits. So we've been working with them for 3 years. We signed the Hague Accord in The Hague with them, which was a very special moment in time where we committed, with our hands to the plow with other companies to work and collaborate globally on personal safety.
Wow, that's just amazing. And I also think it's really important when we talk about being protected with techniques. It's really important to learn self-defense, right? Steph,
Absolutely.
I mean, these are so important. Our prepared, protected, all of our strategies that go in, our strategies, our tools, our techniques, all are for being intentional with our safety. So really, in closing, we both know that prevention is always the best solution when it comes to staying safe. And Stephanie, you introduced the Beacon and the WanderSafe app to do exactly this: prevent victimization with a proactive, nonviolent solution. So tell us, where can people find this product?
People can find us at www.wandersafe.com. They can also find WanderSafe on Facebook as well. We've got a Facebook store there. But basically, just go to our website and you can find a suite of products, our first beacon and the Shakti beacon, available there.
Here, and I will show the two different
They're
items.
very,
Yeah,
yes,
that's right. And you
yes.
can find the app, the app store.
Yes, in the App Store, both in Android and in iOS. Look for Jenny the Happy Pin. She's here. So this little icon is what shows up in the App Store with the smile, a location pin with a smile. And download the app, set up your 3 emergency contacts, and then, play with the app. You can put on and turn on shelters. You can look at other data, locations. You can look at different cities. So it's a really fun app to play with, but you can also start documenting your journey and helping others. So it's really, we wanted to make it so it was collaborative with a community of like-minded people who are there to, have the safest existence that they can outside their home.
That's right. And because of today being on the podcast, we're going to offer everybody listening to use the code Be Safe for a
Be safe.
discount, right?
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that you're going and purchasing one and giving the gift of safety to all the people that are really important in your life that you want to keep safe. So we are so great today. We're so grateful that you joined us today. We're so happy we were able to talk about the 3 Ps: proactive, prepared, and protected. And we talked about strategies, tools, and techniques. And I just want to say thank you so much today, Stephanie, for joining us. And we always say you have to know your risk to avoid the risk. So make sure you improve your situational awareness, and we'll be back for another episode to increase public awareness and reduce the dangers faced by citizens in their daily lives, whether traveling around the corner or around the world. So thanks so much, Stephanie.
Thanks, Carrie. It's my pleasure.
Have a great night.